Hello everyone, Via here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Siege 6GUN. So here he is in the box here. I have already previously opened this, that's why like the top doesn't want to stay closed, but so you can see here he is in the window. You got Transformers Siege, War for Cybertron Trilogy, you got 6GUN right there. Really cool piece of artwork of 6GUN there on the side. On this side you have the standard Siege artwork. On the back you got 6GUN, his weapon mode, his vehicle mode. You can see here he is used in conjunction with Ironhide. On the top, just War for Cybertron. On the bottom, nothing. So, I'm going to get this guy open, and we're going to take a look at the vehicle mode first. So here we have 6GUN in his vehicle mode. Yeah, if you know anything about 6GUN, you would know that this is an addition for the Siege figure. The G1 6GUN toy was just 6 weapons that came with Metroplex that would combine into a robot. But for Siege, they felt the need to give him a vehicle mode to make him a proper Transformer. This is my least favorite part of the figure, but it's, you know, acceptable. So let's get in close here. You can see he's got a cockpit there with some silver paint on there. 4 guns up here, some missile launchers. This guy's covered in guns. You got 2 little guns here on the wings. You can see the underside has this like big brick here, which not aerodynamic in the slightest, but it necessary for the transformation. You can see here on the wings, it's got some, what I'm assuming are like little VTOLs there with the wingtips. You can very clearly see these are his hands, his arms back here, but that's okay. He's got 2 little pegs up top. Thrusters painted in black. These red sections are very clearly his legs, but they look okay. They pass as thrusters. That's what we're going to call them. We're going to call them thrusters. You can see it's a very wide vehicle because he's got, you know, wings, but it looks fine. Nothing special. You can see in terms of paint, he does have the standard kind of Siege problem of having like real nasty like silver smudges all over him. You can see it's most prominent here on his toes. He's got a little there on the wings, on the VTOLs there. I don't really like it. I've never been a fan of like battle damage on figures. I prefer my figures to be clean, but it's not too bad, and 6GUN gets off pretty lightly in the grand scheme of things. If you've seen other Siege figures, he definitely has it pretty easy. So for a comparison, we're going to bring in a few figures from other lines. Here we have Combiner Wars Alpha Bravo, so you can see how he scales with a Combiner Wars Deluxe. You can see he's a pretty decently sized vehicle. Here he is with a Titan's Return Deluxe. I have Blur. Those like to come off. Those pegs are not that tight, but so you can see there he is with Blur. And for a Power of the Primes Deluxe, here he is with Cutthroat, a previous review. So there you go. Now, being a weaponizer, he does have weapon modes. As you saw there on the box, he works with Ironhide. But we're gonna go straight to robot mode first. We're gonna show the weaponizer gimmick after we get to robot mode. So, again, he is a weaponizer. So if you know anything about them, their transformations are very parts-formy. So we're gonna start off by untabbing these sections. They're just those pegs that peg into those ports there. So I'm gonna unpeg these. We'll put these off to the side for now. And then this whole white section unpegs as well. There's a gray post there and a port there. That fell off the table, but put that off to the side. So we're left with this. Now what do you do with this? So you can bring these sections up. These will be his legs. And you can see here, these sections untab. There's a slot and a tab. You just bring that down. Those will form the legs. And what'll be his waist joint, you just want to rotate around, and you can flip up his little toes like that. And then these 4 barrels, for right now, you just bring down. They're on 2 hinges, and you just want to bring them down like that. Next piece, you want to bring back in this section here, and this post will plug into that port up top. Just peg that in. And then you fold these sections down, and that slot will go over that tab. So you can fold that down and just tab that in to lock this section into place. take these gray posts and flip these down. This whole cockpit section just folds down onto his chest. This white section flips down and around onto his back, and then you just take the head and you rotate it forward. And now the way these barrels you want these middle two down and these top two, or these outer two up. So you can just rotate those up. Mine are tight enough that they kind of go up together, but that's how you want that oriented on his back. Like that. Now I'm bringing in these sections again. You do want to remove these little red guns here from the top. They're just pegged in. And you can see these will be his arms. So you just take that hole and peg it in to the gray peg there on the side. So just peg that in, peg that in. There you go. And these little red guns you just peg in to these ports that we folded up. And there you have SIXGUN in his robot mode. And honestly, this is the star of the show for me. You have no idea how happy this makes me. I love SIXGUN. I never had Metroplex when I was a kid. I did have SIXGUN though. How that happened, I don't know. I don't have him anymore. I don't know where he went, but I did have G1 SIXGUN, and I love him. I love SIXGUN. He's so good. And this is a great modern reimagining of SIXGUN. If I had the Generations Metroplex that came out in, I think, 2013, I feel like he would go really well with that Metroplex. And holding him in hand kind of makes me want that Metroplex, just to have a Metroplex to go with my SIXGUN. But besides that, let's get in close here on the head sculpt. Very nice head sculpt. Looks very good. Looks like SIXGUN. You got that nice clean blue visor with the white mouth plate. Looks really good. Autobot symbol there on his chest. You can see the cockpit forms his chest, and the little missile racks go on the sides. The arms are kind of stiff. We'll talk about that a little bit more in articulation, but his arms, I'm not a huge fan of these, and I'll get to that in a bit. You can see he's got the red legs like a SIXGUN should. Some nice silver and black there on the legs. On the back, he has, like, realistically no kibble. Like, I guess you could count these little guns here, but, you know, it's whatever. It's a very clean transformation. It is parts forming, but it results in a really good looking robot mode, so I don't mind. Now, articulation wise, you can see his head is on a swivel joint. It is not on a ball joint, so there is no wiggling. It is just a straight swivel. The arms are pegged in so they can rotate all the way around, although they have this weird like indent, so it's kind of hard to show, but you can really feel it if you have the figure, because the port is a little like hexagon in there. So it has a weird feeling indent to it that kind of makes the arms look a little awkward. And another awkward part is the in and out joint. That just looks a little weird to me, and it bangs into his head. So that's as far out as the arms will go. Luckily, the elbows bring it back a little bit. He does have a bicep swivel on a mushroom peg. His elbows do bend about 90 degrees. These little guns here, you can like use as weapons, like that kind of thing. There is a waist swivel, which is nice. Hips can kick forward about that far, can kick back about that far. They can move out all the way, full splits. Thighs are pegged in, so they are on a swivel. His knees do bend a little bit more than 90 degrees. The ankles have a really nice pivot to them, and the toes can move up and down. So he's pretty articulated, especially considering G1 SIXGUN, which was nothing. He was basically a statue in robot mode. But this guy is pretty limber for a SIXGUN, and he looks really good in most poses. Now, in terms of weaponry, obviously he can completely come apart, but these gray guns here just unpeg from these sections, and just taking these off kind of just does make the arms look a bit better, but he can hold these in his hands, so you can kind of get those stuffed into his hands a little bit. For some reason, these pegs are kind of tight in his hands, but if you just get them in, he does look pretty good holding those, and he is holding those on that artwork in the box. And again, that looks pretty cool. If you want, you can also take off these red guns and have him hold these as well. You have a multitude of options for weapons. Now, going back to comparisons, here he is with Combiner Wars Alpha Bravo. And we'll just see if we can get a group shot in here. We'll do this. We'll get Titan's Return, Blur, and Power of the Primes, Cutthroat. So you can see how he scales with a deluxe from each chapter of the Prime Wars trilogy. And a little thing I wanted to mention, the plastic on SIXGUN and like on Siege figures in general feels really nice. Like, before I had gotten any of the War for Cybertron figures, I heard people say that like the plastic felt nicer than the Prime Wars trilogy. And at first I didn't believe it. I was like, people are just blowing smoke up Siege's ass. But it does feel better. Like, it feels denser. It's a heavier plastic. It feels smoother, and overall it's just really nice feeling figure. These figures don't feel bad or like cheap by comparison, but this is quality shit, man. It's quality stuff. Now, I did promise he is a weaponizer, so we have to show off his weaponizer gimmick. I'm going to need the instructions for this, because I'm going to show you the way the instructions do it, but there are many, many ports and pegs all over this figure to kind of tell you where everything is. So first, we're just going to go into his individual weapons mode, of which, you know, by his name, he does turn into 6 guns. So you want to pull off the arms. You want those gray guns attached because these become rifles. So these become 2 guns by themselves. So 1, 2. You want to pull off his legs and pull off these red guns here. And the leg, you just want to straighten out the knee, fold the toe down, and flip out a peg, and plug in one of these red guns like that. And so these will become 2 more guns, bringing our total to 4. Peg that in. There you go. So now, for this section, you fold these guns down, rotate the head, flip up this section, flip up that section, and flip these up. And you pull this off, and this becomes another gun, 5. And now, this gun, you have a, you know, this piece, you can transform it in a multitude of ways, but the way I like to do it is bringing the guns forward, flipping out the peg, this gray peg right here, and just kind of bringing the hips up like that. And then you have 6. So he does become 6 guns, as his name suggests. And these can be held and used by various figures. If we bring back Cutthroat, he can like hold this in his hand like that, or like this one can be held in his hand. So these can be used by figures, which is pretty nice. We'll bring him back in to demonstrate some more stuff in a little bit. But now I want to go into the 3 forms the instructions mention, because these can all combine together into various armors and stuff for your Siege figures. I don't have any other Siege figures. I want to be getting more soon because I really like these weaponizers. I think they're really fun. But these do work better with Siege figures than stuff like Prime Wars stuff because they have more ports to peg all this stuff on. But for right now, I'm just going to show you the forms the instructions mention. So this first one is called the defensive loadout. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take these red guns and this piece, and you're going to want to peg these into here like that. Those pegs are not the tightest. They will hold in, but they are not super tight. I might have to like try to tighten up these holes a little bit because the wings kind of fell off of those too. So you have this, and you want to take the cockpit here, and you can see there is this second panel here that can fold down. So you want to expose that little port there in his chest like that. And then these, you want to take this section and you want to bring these up and bring them out to the side like this. And then these guns, I like to peg them in with a detail facing forward. Just peg in, whoops, using these ports here. Just pegging onto there. And then this gray peg will peg in to that port we revealed just there, like that. And then this whole section would use this post to peg onto a figure's back. And I'll show you the picture from the instructions of them using it with side swipe. That's what that would look like, pretty much. Next is the offensive loadout. So we're gonna take this back down to its components to get ready for that. So the easiest step are the shoes. So you just take these guns, remove these red tips, flip in these pegs, and you would use these pegs to peg onto the bottom of a figure's feet. Feet. So you have the shoes here. Put those off to the side. Next is this piece and these little red guns. You just take these red guns and you peg them in right there into the previously mentioned loose ports. And then this would just peg onto a figure's arm or shoulder as like a shield, I guess. And then these combine again, but this time you want these flipped up and you want to peg these into the same ports, but pointing forward this time. And you have this like extra hinge here. You can see there's the screw and it's this little gray section. You want to unsnap that. It does like clip in, so you just want to unsnap it and kind of angle it back like that. And then this would peg onto the figure's back, shown here in the picture again for side swipe. Sorry about that light. There you go. That's what it would look like on side swipe. And now the last little thing that the instructions show is called the High Precision Launcher Gauntlet. That sounds way cooler than it actually is. So you just want to snap this back into place, remove these guns. These are not used for this mode, so you can just put these off to the side. And these little guns come off of this. You need this, you don't need these, so put those off to the side, and you will not need these guns. So you can put these off to the side. So now for these two, what you want to do is you want to bend these guns forward like that, unsnap the waist again, bring it forward, and just kind of angle these pegs forward like that. And that's how you want that looking. And now for this piece, you just fold these down, and then holding this little panel in place, you want to flip this cockpit down so you have the port, and you just peg this gray peg into this port here like that. And you would use this, peg to peg into a figure's arm as like a big gauntlet. We can actually do that here with Cutthroat because he has ports on his arms. So you can, I fold the hand in because it doesn't really fit that great, but you can just peg that into the side, and that is what that will look like on him, pretty much. And if you want to see the picture from the instructions, there it is on side swipe. So it's pretty much the same thing as this. Those are all the weaponizer modes from the instructions, but like I've said a bunch of times in this review, there are pegs and ports all over the place on this. This piece alone has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ports and 3 pegs on it. You know, and like this piece has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ports and 2 pegs. You know, you have all sorts of pegs and ports that you can play around with, make your own combinations using all of these weapons. It's really fun. It's a fun time, especially if you have figures that work well with it, like Sideswipe or Ironhide, or any of the Siege or Earthrise figures work really well with these weaponizers. I don't have any of those, so I haven't been able to have as much fun, you know, with Prime Wars stuff, but these are really good. These are a really great time, and SIXGUN especially is super fun. And there you have SIXGUN. Really great figure. This guy sold me on the War for Cybertron trilogy. I knew as soon as the SIXGUN was announced, I had to have one, but This guy really sold me on the idea of weaponizers. He sold me on the new trilogy of figures. And I'm just smitten with this thing. I love it. Definitely recommended. It's great by itself. It's really fun as a companion piece with other figures. And it's just really, really worth the price. So if you'd like to get one of these for yourself, I will leave purchase links in the description down below, right next to my social media platforms, my Instagram and my Twitter. All that great stuff will be down below. While you're down there, why don't you like and subscribe? That'd be pretty cool. But that about does it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.